I'm not so sure I agree with that, but TJ, but I must say that having the A-team back on deck, Tony Johnson calling with Justin Marshall and Jeff Wilson was brilliant. I loved it. Justin joins us again, 81 Test veteran of the All Blacks. Welcome back, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Marty. Nice to be home, and it was a really entertaining night in Auckland for sure. The Eden Park tradition continues, the streak, but yeah, it was a bit tense.
Well, I give them a B after a C+ last week. I thought it was an improvement, but I'm not, I'm not on the rah-rah train just yet. What were your thoughts?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There is a lot of work still to be done. I think probably the key thing to recognise is, and you and I have both been banging this drum for a couple of years now, if not longer, is that we want to make sure that every Test match that the All Blacks front up for, they win, and don't try and target the future. They target the now. So what they have achieved is obviously 2 wins against a very good England side, a much improved England side, and a series victory. So they can tick that box big time. Look, then you want to delve into the rest of it, don't you, and say, yeah, look, but either one of those tests could have been lost. And yeah, they could have been, and that's something to look at and to review and to think about, because, you know, if you're going to be rolling the dice in the test matches in the last 5 minutes, eventually you will get tripped up. So that's where we have to look at the performance, and I agree with you. There are things that are still not right. There is still some selection debate up for people to, I guess, sort of suggest that certain players should deserve an opportunity after these 2 tests simply because a little bit of rhythm was missing.
Yeah, so again, that's the frustrating thing. There are times during both of these matches we've played really well, and there are times where we've gone completely off the boil and we haven't been able to rewrite that as much as what you want an All Black side to be able to do. What does that come down to? Because this isn't an inexperienced lineup, we know that. So is it on-field leaders, or can we just give credit to the fact that England played a very gnarly way of keeping us under pressure and keeping us just slightly off our game?
Bit of both, I think. We've certainly got to give England credit for doing their homework. They did their homework on the All Black lineout and caused problems on the night, which affected decision-making. You know, like the All Blacks, when they did have territory and were having dominant parts of the Test match, and Scott Barrett could basically feel that. He went for touch inside the 22 when he probably was turning back down kickable threes, although they weren't that easy kickable threes. And then the All Blacks got their line-out picked off inside the 22. So you'd have to say to England, well done. Maro Itoje was instrumental in that, and they disrupted the All Blacks in that zone. And equally, the tries they scored were really well thought out, really meticulously planned, particularly the second one where off line-out they went patted to the midfield, far to the left, and it was always set up to leave the winger far right, and Marcus Smith's execution on that was perfect, along with the catch from Freeman, which was outstanding. So you have to say that they were very, very good. The All Blacks, again, when they needed to win big moments, they won those big moments. So I think when you look at it, the All Blacks certainly not fluid. Still not convinced that they have found the answer to getting through, around, and beating a blitz defence. And at times I thought, again, we were a bit negative by kicking the ball away when we looked lost for ideas.
Justin, why can't we keep and retain possession? That's just a huge concern of mine, that when times get tough like that, like we just seem to do that run out of ideas or start slinging passes sideways or behind us or things like that. Why can't we just keep the ball?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think, again, probably that there is some blame to go towards the players that they feel, I guess, negatively, that if they are playing in the wrong area too much, that they will concede a penalty which ultimately could concede them points. And I guess the frustration at not being able to get over the advantage line after 2 to 3 phases, in the default setting seems to be, okay, let's kick it back to the opposition and let them play with the ball. I think I was saying the same things last week.
You were, yeah.
I don't feel that we made... I thought that we were a little bit more patient, but I still don't feel that we've actually found the answer to being able to regenerate quick ball when that blitz defence does hit you back over the advantage line and you don't have ball to run onto. Then what the answer to that is certainly not kicking it down the throat of the fullback too far and not putting any pressure on that kick and making it contestable and allowing them to then dictate the game. So, yeah, look, I agree with you. It was an improvement, but still they're going to cop that style of defence a lot more. And at this point in time, and Scott Robertson said this, Marty, didn't
he did. And that's the thing. He gave himself a pass mark. Yep. And look, and I like the honesty about that. And we've had a text come in saying, how can you give the All Blacks a B? They were terrible. They're playing worse than the Foster era. And if Ian was in charge, he'd be slaughtered by the media. That may be the case, but I don't think that we're terrible. It's just that we set high standards and demand high standards. Justin, is this a good English side? Because I don't believe it's a great English side, which means that we're good at the moment, but we're also not great. Is that a fair assessment?
I think it's a good English side that is improving with every test match they play. They basically have thrown the kitchen sink at a new game plan. And obviously having new generals helped that. Like Alex Mitchell, he's growing into a very good, very good nine. And equally, Marcus Smith plays completely different to Owen Farrell. And all of a sudden, then you've got Henry Slade in the midfield. And you've got some genuine firepower out on the wings, Waboso was absolutely outstanding. I think they missed fullback from the first week. But, when you think about some of the players they've got built on the back of a very good tight five, that they are getting better and better and better by test match. And obviously that's under Steve Borthwick now, that's had them for a couple of years. So, yeah, they are a side that's going to turn into an even better side, and they're going to be more of a handful again at Twickenham later in the year. So we've got to pay tribute to them. Look, I think many teams in the world, if they were playing Australia or South Africa on the Southern Hemisphere tour rather than New Zealand, I think both those sides would certainly have their challenges up against the England side. So, yeah, look, there's certainly a lot of holes in what the All Blacks have done in those first two test matches, but those holes can be worked on and can be fixed.
Justin Marshall is with us. We can't question our commitment, our determination, our resilience, our desire to win, all of that, and it deserves a tick, but at the same time, I demand that of every All Black and every All Black team that plays. And so, that to me is never in question. We've always got that. It's just, I can't get too carried away with what I'm watching at the moment. And here's a couple of areas that I wrote down. Okay, what would we give for another Itoje in our team at lock? Because the line-out was just a shambles at times. The scrum was great. And Fletcher Newell, he came on, he was a beast. Beauden Barrett, his substitution, inspirational. But that's what you want. You want that impact off the bench. Justin, I've got real concerns, though, about Geordie and Rico in midfield. Rico's now played 71 tests, mate. And we're just not getting the best out of that guy, or is that the best out of that guy? And do we need to perhaps move him to the wing to provide a lot of questions here, mate, but to provide a bigger body, a ball-carrying body?
Well, absolutely. And 30 of those test matches have been at centre. So he's no mug at playing on that jersey anymore. So, yeah, look, I certainly feel that they will look and review this test series and try to understand why, when you get opportunities, we're not taking those opportunities. And I did think that there was at least 3, possibly 4 times in that test match where Rico had an opportunity to distribute and didn't. And that's just whether or not he's not quite confident enough just pre-contact to be able to just let that ball go and trust that it's a good decision. And when you've got that blitz defence and you do have a winger or a fullback who is the last defender or second last defender coming in at you, and there is a player free on the outside, then that's how you beat that blitz defence. And you've got to have the confidence and the skill set to be able to distribute under pressure, under the pump, with a player zeroing in on you. So, look, I'm sure the All Blacks will look at that. They'll be probably pretty pleased that they did create those 3 or 4 chances for him to distribute, which meant that they'd done enough to bring those defenders in and the space was there. But now they need to take their game plan to evolve to actually taking that opportunity and either getting him to distribute or finding a player that can. Yeah. That's the answer, if you ask me.